If there's one question I get a ton in comments, on Canon Masterclass, or by email, it is where are all the new Canon cinema cameras? C70 was released over 2 years ago now. The R5C, which is a stills cinema hybrid camera, was announced in April and released in March last year. There have been a ton of rumors flying around about new high dynamic range, new 8K, but so far nothing has materialized. And in that same time frame, Sony, Canon's biggest competitor, has released FX3, FX30, the new Burano, the $25,000 baby Venice. So what is Canon up to? Why is it taking so long? Today we're going to break down the rumors, what could be taking so long, what Canon has been up to. And I should say upfront, even though I do a ton of work for Canon, you can see my videos on their YouTube channel and their Instagram and TikTok. I have no special inside knowledge. No one's told me anything. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video. Just like everyone else, I am, eagerly awaiting new advancements and reading rumor sites and trying to put it together. So this is what I found out. Canon has been releasing a ton of cameras, but they have all been stills cameras. Canon now has several crop frame cameras and even a full frame camera, the RP, under $1,000, but all for stills with some video capability. So they have been busy, just not in the place where professional filmmakers are interested. So what is missing from the lineup? The glaring omission is a high-end C300, C500, C700 RF mount. Those three cameras I just mentioned all share the same body, and it's a body that can be EF or swapped out to PL. But if you have an RF mount, you can put on an EF or PL even quicker than swapping them out. They just released the RF mount cinema lenses, which are the optically identical to the C&E primes, but come with a RF mount on them. So they're clearly moving in this direction. And there have been a ton of rumors as early as 2021 that Canon was going to release two different tiers of high-end cameras, one that focused on high dynamic range using multiple sensors to get, 15, 20 stops of dynamic range, similar to the Alexa 35. And the other way they were going to go was super resolution, 8K, even 12K. Though I think this is probably less in demand now. It makes sense that they would do this and do this soon because the current flagship camera, the C500 Mark II, which I have, is quite a few years old now, and it has even dropped in price by a third. So it's gone from $15.99 down to $10.99. So they're clearly getting ready to put something in that space. They just haven't released it yet. What's stopping them? Possibly technical issues, not in developing the sensor, but being able to manufacture the sensor en masse. COVID messed up a lot of delivery pipelines, and it caused a lot of camera and sensor manufacturers to order years worth of sensors. And this put intense strain on the sensor manufacturers and all the parts that go into the sensor. And so Canon doesn't want to release the next generation sensor until they know they can actually make enough cameras to fill demand. They had this with, I think, the R3, where they announced it and then they weren't delivering cameras for like 6 to 8 months out. And a lot of the people who bought it canceled the orders and bought something else. They don't want to repeat of that. So my guess is that they're holding off until they can guarantee delivery. They probably have a ton of the existing C70 and C300 Mark III sensors, and that would be the next big area that they could go into. Some kind of Komodo style box camera, again, something that's shown up in patents, something that's been rumored for several years now. Their previous idea of this was the C200B, which I bought for, I think, $399. It's currently $1,900. This is just a camera without a screen. You have to supply your own. But I think the trend is now to do a much smaller body like the Zcam or the Komodo little box. They already have a camera that shoots, that has this form factor. It's a super high ISO security camera. I played with it a little bit. It can see in almost complete darkness. So they have experience making these boxes. They just need to put the C70 sensor in it, maybe with internal ND, maybe not. Sell this thing for under $3,000. I think it'd be a slam dunk. And the third camera that I think makes sense for Canon to release soon is the very affordable FX30 form factor, which is really just a sensor in a tiny box with a mount. The pack of cards similar to the Sigma FP. This could be the old C200 sensor, which is Super 35, and they could do this for under $1,000. Would be an awesome B camera. Would be also a crash camera, something you can suction cap to the top of a car or a dashboard. It would have an RF mount, so it'd be compatible with all your tiny RF lenses like the 16mm or their nifty 50, probably Super 35, and I think it would absolutely crush. If you have a Canon cinema camera, you want to get more out of it, check out Canon Masterclass. I have a ton of camera-specific courses on there for the Canon cinema range on how to expose, focus, white balance, rig for cinema, color grading. Basically, if you like my work, as you see on this YouTube channel, I use what I do on Canon Masterclass to get the result that I get. I have a new course called Cinematic Lighting up there where I go through a ton of different scenarios, how I lit it, and with the focus on single operator, like one person doing the camera and the lights. So it's not dealing with like huge units or big trucks. It really is how you as a filmmaker can get the best result possible with the least amount of gear. So why hasn't Canon released any of these apart from the logistic issues? Canon tend to wait and see. They're quite a conservative company, and it actually translates into a lot of advantages for people that have Canon cameras. If you have a FX9 and Sony releases the Burano, even though we all want new cameras, the quicker they bring them out, the more it devalues the existing cameras that you have. So, I had the C200. I bought it for, like I said, $4,000. I think I sold it 4 years later for $3,500. So my total cost of ownership, because of how great the C200 was, how much it held its value, my total cost of ownership over 3 years was $500. If you're bringing cameras out every year in the same space, then your cost of ownership increases. This is what Red was infamous for, constantly upgrading every single year. And the people that had dropped 50 grand on a camera found their camera a year later to be worth $20,000. It makes for a lot of annoyed owners. And I think Canon's waiting until they can really do something new and interesting, not just something cheaper. Another reason might be that Canon like to share the same sensor and the same body over several cameras. So the C200, C300 Mark III, and C500 all share the same body, but have different sensors inside, different size sensors, different sensitivity sensors. So they can make, 50,000 of that body and aggregate the cost over 3 cameras. The same with the sensors. The C300 Mark III sensor, they can put it in a smaller body of the C70, and then they only have to design a new body. That is my look at where all the new cameras are from Canon. I'm almost certain we will see one in the new year. Which one it'll be and how many and what it'll do, nobody knows except people at Canon. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.